So beginning close to the earth in reclining butterfly. If you have bolsters or pillows that you can set up to lie back over, and then some pillows or blankets to place under your thighs. So Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclining bound angle or reclining butterfly, is a supported heart and hip opener. So when we lie back, there's the gentle curve opening through the heart and then the opening through the hips. And I would recommend putting some pillows or books or blocks under your thighs so the knees and the hips aren't going to overstretch. And let's just start to settle. So if you need to rock and shift, roll the shoulders down, wiggle. And so we are in the new moon, and I love all of the moon phases. Every moon phase has magic and energy. And what's so beautiful too about the lunar cycle, as the moon moves around the earth and as the earth moves around the sun, we get all of these wonderful relationships. We get all of these wonderful connections. And yoga is about relationship. Yoga is about relationship between opposites. And Hatha yoga, which is sort of the umbrella that most breath and body practices are based in, literally means sun and moon. So because we are a very active solar society, it's really important to tune into the moon. And the moon was the original calendar. The moon was sort of the original guide for our ancestors, for humans for thousands of years. And so this class is just sort of a pause where we get to check in, we get to tune in, not only with our own rhythms, our own emotional, lunar, intuitive rhythms, but we also get to align with the moon, as well as the energy of the earth. And for me, I know this practice brings a sense of peace and balance, because I know I'm not alone. I'm not the only one feeling and sensing these currents. And so we are in the dark moon, new moon. We have the new moon exact at 2:16 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So technically tomorrow morning, but we are in it. The moon is in that element, the mutable water element. This is the last new moon of the winter. Next Saturday, we have the spring equinox. So this is very much the dissolving winter. This is the melting of the ice and the snow. This is the waters that begin to stream and river and move down to nourish the soil and activate the life force energy, the fire energy. And so we really just want to settle into that current, be carried and held and dream. This is the dreamer. This is the merging. This is the final sign of the astrological zodiac. And so the practice today, we want to tune in. I want to tune into that inner wisdom, the inner surrender, the inner dreamer and mystic. Your dreams may be very heightened right now. I know I've had a few intense ones the last few nights. And so in our time together today, we just want to tap into whatever is coming up. One of my teachers, one of my Yoga Nidra teachers, says that if you can feel it, you can heal it. And obviously there's some abstractions around that language, depending on your relationship with emotions and also healing. But in the context of this moon, what it suggests is that if there are emotions or sensations emerging right now, we can develop a more healing relationship with it. And for me, healing is not so much about cure or something being gone. It's about sort of up-leveling our dynamic with it. Because in yoga, we talk about samskara, we talk about these sort of old patterns and behaviors that are with us our whole lives, and we can create new ones, we can sort of soften the grooves, but they're usually kind of present with us. And when we are upset, or when there's harm or confusion or change, right, they can be activated. So the energy of the practice tonight is to soften where we are, to connect to whatever is thawing, dissolving, clearing out in your own body, in your own life. So let's just take a deep breath in through the nose, fill yourself all the way up to the top. And then open mouth, sigh it out, and let yourself settle over your pillows, bolsters, blankets a little bit more. Feel the river of the body. Take another deep breath in, and this time as you inhale, squeeze your hands, your feet, your face, squeeze everything tight, 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 like you're holding on. And then open mouth, exhale, let go. Again, let yourself surrender and drape over the props a little bit more. Again, like the waters over the stones, over the earth. One more time. Inhale, squeeze, squeeze, hold, sip in a little more breath. Squeeze, squeeze, hold, hold. Open mouth, exhale, complete surrender. And just let yourself be held by the shape of the props, the earth. Again, the way the water just winds through, melting, thawing, heading towards the ocean. Feel the breath as it flows and moves through your belly. So activate that deep belly breath. And first, just sense into your belly, sense into the breath. And then imagine your breath like a current, like a stream. And as you inhale, it draws up towards the crown, towards the third eye. And as you exhale, that tributary flows down towards the soles of the feet. And that might start out a little bit slower, maybe a little bit more shallow, but over these next few breaths, just see if you can imagine that fluidity increasing, right? As though, again, the ice, the snow in the mountains is melting, and slowly, slowly it's building, it's trickling until we're accessing this current of vision and intuition and healing, of mystery, of surrender. Surrender is an important quality of this cycle. We surrender to whatever the winter was as the spring begins to emerge. And as you feel this flow, we're going to just very gently move through some nerve-rich meridian points in the body. And so as you breathe in, imagine that current sort of settling at your third eye, the space between the eyebrows. And just take a moment to connect here. This is one of our intuitive, psychic energy centers. And so just feel this gentle flow, this thawing out and defrosting of the third eye, the pineal gland, the master gland, the spirit hormones, the chemicals of well-being and healing. And then as you exhale from the third eye, that water energy, that healing water trickles all the way down into the hollow of the throat. And we pool this melting water into the hollow of the throat and clearing out, washing away any tension residue between the brain and the mouth and the throat. And then from the hollow of the throat, it flows out to the right into the center of the right shoulder, pooling into that right shoulder socket. And then down into the center of the right elbow and into the right wrist. And then it flows like a gentle stream into the tip of the right thumb, right index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. And there's this beautiful stream of light and life force flowing down the right arm into the tips of the fingers. And then it flows back up through the right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder, down into the hollow of the throat, pooling into the throat, hollow of the throat. And then it moves down into the center of the left shoulder and into the center of the left elbow, left wrist, dripping down into the tip of the left thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Again, this gentle stream, these rivers through the left hand all the way to the tips of the fingers that flow back into the wrist and the elbow and the shoulder, back to the hollow of the throat. And then that energy pools and thaws even more and slides down to the center of your heart. And your heart is cleansed and washed with this fresh water, this coming spring water. And it moves over to the right side of the chest and then back to the heart, to the left side of the chest and back to the heart. And then it slides down, melting down even more into the solar plexus, a few inches above the belly button. and cleansing, washing, purifying through the solar plexus, and then again flowing down into the navel center a couple inches below the belly button. And as it pools and melts here, it slides down, that water flows down into the center of the right hip, right knee, right ankle, down into the tips of the toes, the big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, pinky toe. The whole right leg, these streams flowing from the tips of the toes back up into the ankle, the knee, the right hip, back to the navel center, a couple inches below the belly button. And it gathers there in the navel center before flowing down into the left hip, down into the left knee, left ankle, tip of the big left toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, pinky toe. Whole left leg down to the tips of the toes, streaming, cleansing waters that roll back up into the ankle, knee, hip, before gathering back at the navel center. And then that water flows back up to solar plexus, back up to the heart, back to the hollow of the throat, and up to the third eye. As we settle back into the midbrain, you can sense this constellation of cleansing new moon waters, reaching out down both arms, both legs, through the center of the body. And you just feel the breath moving through these points, supporting the body, the neural pathways, the conscious and unconscious mind, in feeling and sensing and healing. For practicing under the new moon with intention is a powerful and ancient ceremony. And trust in the flow of your breath and your body to dissolve what no longer serves and to awaken what is ready to be born with the new moon and with the first little sparks of spring. Take another big breath into that third eye, point into your whole body, fill up. Open mouth, exhale everything out. Now you're welcome to stay in Supta Baddha Konasana as long as you want. Otherwise, just start to explore the body. So maybe reach out through your fingers, extend your legs. So spread out through your fingers and toes, and then start to squeeze in. You can sweep the arms up overhead. If you're over a bolster or pillows, you can bend the knees and start to rock the knees side to side like windshield wipers. So whenever we're in a water moon, the invitation is to imagine you're moving through water, or again, that you are water, right? And so as we start to just wiggle and shift and rock and roll, and so the lymphatic system is the fluid body. So again, just feeling the fluid in the body, moving from the fluid in the body. And that might be the blood, that might be the casing along the spine, the water in our cells. As you're ready, you can roll over to the left side, lunar side, fetal pose. Take your time, curling in. And then we're going to slowly roll up and come straight into ragdoll. So again, you can stay in Supta Baddha Konasana or just effortlessly roll yourself up to a ragdoll position. And you can place your bolster, pillows, or blocks under the hands. Let's take the feet about as wide as the shoulders, and let's just start to rock it out here. So you can bend the knees a lot, creating a resting place for belly. And again, just let go. So just releasing, rolling side to side, shifting around, shaking it out, or maybe just settling into stillness, resting your hands or your hairline on your props. You can play with bending one leg at a time, really slowly connecting to the hips and the hamstrings, and just explore. So there's an intuitive quality to our moon work every week, but especially in this element of mysticism and dreaming, of merging. And so feeling into your body, again, the rivers that are flowing from those meridian points we activated in the 61-point body scan, and just letting them continue to flow. So we're dissolving anything that no longer serves, particularly in the fluid and emotional body. Feel into your feet, into your legs. And again, just allowing this movement here a little bit longer. I like to imagine just kind of emptying out the brain here in Uttanasana, in Ragdoll, just shaking out the head, letting go. And then slowly bend your knees, roll yourself up one vertebra at a time. Let everything roll up. And then as you exhale, tuck your chin, roll down, roll down. So now as you roll down, you can just roll into Ragdoll, or you might shift forward onto your toes and sort of curl yourself in to a ball. And then place the feet down as you roll up. And we'll do this a few more times. So you can always bring the feet a little bit closer if you're rolling to the tippy toes. And again, just think about your body like a river, like a current. And you can just roll as far down as you can, or start to roll onto the feet, just surrendering over the legs. Just a couple more of these, just kind of opening the body. And Pisces is in the feet, which is why I'm offering the coming on to the toes. And then roll it on up. Take your time. When you come up though, roll your shoulders one way and the other. Draw the shoulders down, shake your head a little bit, be mindful of the neck, and then soften the knees and take that into a little windmill, little twist. And it can be really subtle and small, or it can be bigger. Just let the head and the neck go. Take a big breath in and give yourself a sigh. Feel free to do that a couple more times. If there's any sounds that need to come out through the mouth, through the throat, swearing, sighing, screaming, sobbing. Again, one of the beautiful things about the mute, right? Like, we're not in the classroom together, which of course we miss, but you do have that freedom to really express yourself in the practice. So just honor that, utilize that. Slow down the twist. Bring it to center, feet hip width distance apart. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach towards that new moon, open your heart. Exhale, hands to the heart, pull the hands down, one hand to heart, one hand to belly. Soft knees, and just let yourself rock. Feel into your feet, soles of the feet on the earth, the crown opening up towards this new moon. And you can just sigh or hum or listen, or we're going to invoke the new moon by chanting Om Chandraya Namaha. Take a deep breath in. Om Chandraya Namaha. And then as you settle here, you can keep your hands where they are or release them. Let's just move into some small hip circles. So keep the knees soft and just moving the hips. So this is a great night for mantra. So if you like that mantra, you can tone that, chant that, do that along the mala beads. We're also in the Mahashivaratri. In the Hindu tradition, the great night of Lord Shiva is connected to this dark moon, new moon. So that's a powerful divine masculine energy that is aligning with the divine feminine right now too. So a lot of energies stirring right now Again, that dissolution of the old, the outdated, the toxic, the trying to sort of clear out that to make way for sort of the new consciousness. And so much of this last year has been about the old and the new, the outdated and the current. Reverse the direction. And that's the thing about cycles, is that, you know, things end, things begin, but they also continue to come around and evolve, right? So all the points that we're hitting in the astrological timelines, a lot of these we've hit, but sometimes they come every year. Sometimes they come every 100 years. Sometimes it's 1,000 years, right? So like, we are humans trying to operate on this more infinite timeline. And so we feel it very strongly in our bodies, and we are mostly water. So we feel the moon, we feel these movements through the nervous system, through the fluid body. And so this moon, we want to be really tender with ourselves, with our psychic energies as well. We're picking up from each other and the world and the cosmos. Bring it back to center. Take a breath. Sigh it out. Release your hands. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, right arm down the right leg, left arm over side bend. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to the left. You can turn your gaze down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, over to the right. And then bring it up and over to the left. And then inhale, reach up, lift. Exhale, forward fold, softens. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step forward to tabletop. You can place a blanket under the knees, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Inhale, drop the belly, open the chest, cow pose. Exhale, arch back into cat. Press back to child's pose, untuck the toes. Inhale, roll yourself back up to cow, melt the heart. Exhale, optional down dog, or come back into child's pose. Inhale, down dog. Exhale, walk your hands to your feet, or if you're in child's pose, just roll back to the feet. Soft knees. Inhale, lengthen up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms wide, stretch up. Hands to heart, soft knees. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, side bend left. Inhale up. Exhale, right. Again, inhale up. Exhale, left. Inhale up. Exhale, right. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Feel free to bend the knees. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, crawl forward, tabletop. Inhale, drop the belly, open the chest, cow. Exhale, round back, cat, push back, child's pose. Inhale, roll forward, melt the heart, cow, tuck the toes. Exhale, down dog or back to child's pose. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, walk your hands back to your feet or just roll back from child's pose. Inhale, up halfway. Exhale, fold. Soft knees. Inhale, reach the arms up, big stretch. Hands to heart. Inhale, reach up for that new moon. Exhale, bow forward, dive in like water. Inhale, roll up halfway. Exhale, step forward to tabletop. Inhale, open the chest, cow. Exhale, round to cat, push to child's. Inhale, roll up to cow. Exhale, push back, downward dog or child's pose. Now pause in your down dog. Start to wiggle your hips. Shake out your head, or again, come to child's pose. So take a few good breaths in down dog. So feeling that extension, that release through the spine. Again, how would you do down dog in the water? How could you make downward dog more like a stream, a current? Take a big breath. If you're in down dog, exhale into child's pose. Big toes touch, push your hips back. Lengthen your spine, keep the hips on the heels. Right hand comes forward. Inhale, reach the left arm up. Exhale, weave left arm under right, left ear down, twist. You can keep the right fingertips down or stretch the top arm up and hook back. Breathing into the kidneys, into the back body. Take an inhale. Exhale, release, roll it up. Left hand comes forward, press your hips back. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, weave under on the right ear. Left hand stays down or reach up and hook behind. Press the hips back, draw the belly in, breathe into the kidneys. So they're right underneath the bottom rib. Take a big inhale. Exhale, unwind. Walk your hands forward, as far forward as you can reach your hands. Push your hips back. So really press into the tops of the feet as you walk your hands forward. And now as you inhale, start to round up as though you're coming through cat, and then melt the heart through cow. Maybe bring the hips down and open up into a heart opening variation, or just stay in cow. Exhale, pull belly in, round back, arch back, child's pose. We're going to do that again. So from child's pose, you're reaching forward, you round up, and then you melt the heart forward. Maybe draw your hips forward and open your chest a little more, soft elbows, and then pull everything in and push back. One more time if that feels okay. So you can just roll up into cow and hold, or just go a little further, press the hip flexors forward, push the feet down. Exhale, round back, push back. Now this time as you round back, walk your hands back to your knees. Bring your feet to your knees about hip width distance or together. Tuck your toes, walk back for broken toe. So tuck all 10 toes if you can, and you can always keep your hands on blocks. Or inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Keep the weight on the heels. Inhale, reach up. If you can, right hand grabs left wrist, pull up and over to the right. Keep the weight on that left foot. And then inhale, bring it up, switch the clasp, pull to the left, really ground back into that right foot. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the elbows, open the chest. Now, of course, if you need to just keep supporting your feet, that's fine. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, squeeze back, this time with lion's breath. Inhale. And then reach it up. Bring the hands down, untuck the toes, kick out the toes, and then push back, child's pose or down dog. Walk it out. Take a deep breath in. We're gonna do that one more time. So inhale, exhale into child's pose. Stretch your hands forward, hips back. And then again, as you inhale, roll forward into cow or pelvis forward, open the heart. Exhale, round back, pull back, child's pose. Inhale, round it up into cow or forward into the heart opener. And cow is a heart opener too. Exhale, pull back. Last time, press the hands down, round up, press forward, hip points forward. It's okay if they don't touch the mat. And then exhale as you push back, slide your knees and feet in, tuck your toes back into broken toe. I know we never do this twice in a class, right? But it's Pisces. It's going to be a Pisces stellium. I have no control over this. Inhale, reach up if you can, or keep your hands on the earth. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up. Right hand grabs left wrist. Pull over, ground the weight to the left. Inhale up, switch the clasp, pull to the other side. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, squeeze the elbows down the sides. Inhale, reach for the moon. Exhale, squeeze back. Last time with that lion's breath. Inhale. Clearing the root of the heart. Inhale up. Exhale, bring it forward, kick out the legs. And then this time, slide forward onto your forearm sphinx. So press the pelvis down, spread the fingers, rock it out here. If you want a little more, bend your knees, widen the knees as wide as your mat, big toes touch. And again, rock here. So this is, again, great for our kidneys, pressing down into the pelvis. Just find a little pulse, a little rock. Again, this is such a good pose to do with a lot of us just on the computer all the time. So puff up the back body. So breathe into those kidney points. Don't collapse through the kidneys. So again, feel into the bottom rib, the floating ribs back there, and breathe. Take another deep breath. Side out. Release the legs if they were up. Bring them hip width distance apart. Slide down to the forehead. Thumbs in line with chest. Elbows hug and push the tops of the feet down. Inhale, cobra, baby cobra or big cobra. Again, don't lose the connection to the kidneys as we open the heart. Reach the hip points down. Soften the jaw. Shake out the head. Again, try to find a little bit of mobility, a little bit of movement, even if it's very subtle. Soften the jaw, take one more breath. Exhale, push back, child's pose or our downward dog. Stretch it out wherever you are. Breathe into that fluid body, so that movement along the spine, through the limbs. Inhale. Exhale, walk your hands back to your feet and bow. Shake it out. Rock it out here. Slowly roll yourself all the way up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Step your body wide on the mat. So step or jump out to a nice wide stance. Turn the feet out for temple. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Sink into the hips. Inhale, reach up, 5 pointed stars. So stretch your arms out at 45. The legs are open. And as you exhale, turn left toes in, right toes out, triangle pose. Opening into your triangle. The left arm can come straight up or overhead or behind the back, supporting the kidneys. Inhale, reach up, turn the feet out, arms out, 5 pointed star. Exhale, hands to heart, bend the knees, temple. Inhale, reach up, 5 pointed star. Exhale, left toes turn out, right toes in, reach out, triangle, Trikonasana. Top arm up or overhead, or again, resting at the kidneys. Inhale, roll up. So again, this is our little flow to start. 5 pointed star, then down into temple, hands to prayer. Come up, move to triangle on the right side. So follow your breath pattern. Some of us have longer or slower breaths. And again, my interest here is that we're moving fluidly. So we are creating length through the hips, the hamstrings, through the limbs. We're opening here, whole body awareness. So for the lymphatic system, we need that whole body flow. So how can you create that with your breath? So maybe you're moving slower or more quickly than I am. And again, even in your own body, is there a way to create just a little more of that melting stream, right? What is thawing for you? And sometimes that defrost is not comfortable. If there are wounds, if there are old behaviors, this last year, most of us are hitting the year mark of this pandemic time, right? This extraordinary time. And our bodies know, we have that muscle memory around anniversary, right? Like that, I've always found that to be true. Like sometimes we won't even realize consciously that we're coming up against an anniversary from our lives, and we'll be feeling really funky. And then someone will remind us, right? Or we'll somehow realize, like, oh, wow, this was when my first pet passed away when I was 5. You know, that these things stay with us. The body knows. And this Pisces energy is so intuitive. It's so connected. It's so empathic. The next time we come to triangle on the right, we're going to hold. So no rush. This is a pose that we can comfortably hold. So if some of us are here a little bit longer, that's okay. Soft knees, soft jaw. So you can always put support under the right hand or rest on the right shin. You can also use support of a bed or a chair, but think about length. So length and flow, continuing to breathe. Now you can stay in triangle. And again, you can be in triangle for a nice long time, or we're gonna come into a short Ardha Chandrasana. So if you wanna play with the balance, soften the front knee, stretch that right hand way out to the right, at least 6 inches from pinky toe, and then glide the back foot up. So I'm keeping my left hand on my kidneys to keep that kidney awareness as I open my chest. But maybe for you, the left arm comes up. The gaze can stay nice and low as we stack the hips. But this is great to decongest the back body and the hips. Take another breath. And then gently, can you slide the back foot down? And we'll all sweep it up for that 5-pointed star. Down into our temple, hands to heart. Take a breath. And then coming into side two. So we find triangle on the left side with whatever support is desired right now. Soften the jaw, soften the knees. Open your heart. Get any support that you need. And you can stay here a good long while. Or if you want to play with that half moon, start to soften the left knee, reach the left hand way out to the left, glide that back foot up, stack the hips. So there should still be a peripheral connection to the right toes. So we're stacking the hip, softening the jaw, right-handed kidneys or up or over. Take one more breath. And then again, slowly, slowly from wherever you are, let's come back one more time. 5-pointed star. Reach up, open up. And then turn the feet in parallel, hands to hips or clasp the hands. Open your heart and then bow forward, wide legs. So you don't have to do the chest expansion. You can always just release your hands down. Or breathe into the shoulder opener, the heart opener. And you can adjust the feet here as much as you want. Just let go. And again, if you have the hands clasped, when you're ready, release. Let that blood flow back down. Shake out the head. Soften your face. Let it go. So surrender. And I've been doing a lot of that mantra this week. I've just been like, I surrender. I surrender. And that was always a word that I kind of thought was, not great, right? Like surrender means you lost the war. But from a spiritual context, like that's actually like a positive thing, right? We cease fighting. We cease fighting everybody and mostly ourselves. And that doesn't mean we don't stand up for ourselves and others. Again, it's very important to know that we're not talking in absolutes in that way, but the quality of surrender at this time is very much the Ishavara Pranidhana of the 8-limbed path of yoga, which is we're surrendering to source. We're surrendering to whatever it is that we are working on trusting, whether it's the universe, the cosmos, nature, your community, a higher power of your own understanding. Take one more breath. Exhale, release. And then go ahead and walk yourself towards the front of the mat. And again, we push into a down dog or a child's pose. The offering is to come into single-legged pigeon. If you are aware that your body is not interested in that shape, you can come to your bottom and roll onto the back for sleeping pigeon. Otherwise, you might extend the right leg up, bend the knee, stack the hip, and then slide right knee towards right wrist, opening the shin. Walk your back foot back, square your hips. Feel free to place some support under your back knee or underneath your right hip. And I want you to just take a couple moments to bring that fluidity in. You can even play with pointing the back toes and opening up the quadricep, helping to defrost those big muscles in the quad. So that's kind of our theme this weekend, is thawing, right? And like I said, that's not always pleasant. You know, sometimes in the mountains and rivers, the defrost time, it creates floods, right? Like it takes a little while for homeostasis. And so whenever the season's changing, you know, there is that shift. You know, equinox is light and dark. It's the balance of light and dark. So we are very much in our darkness as the potentiality of light. And when you're ready, if you're not already there, you can settle into your stretch. But just again, allow that intuitiveness. If you want to flow and rock a little bit, you can. Put support under the head, under the heart. And if you've taken yin with me, where we do these really long holds, like in pigeon, you can do things like adding in the twist. So just like we did in child's pose, you bring the right hand forward and you twist. So we twist towards the leg that's up. So the left arm would come under and you can kind of roll open. So again, feel free to explore or just keep it simple. But so a nice thing about this pose is that we're accessing the hips as well as the kidneys. So pleasing the chakra system as well as the Chinese medicine system in our water anatomy. Nice fluid breaths. To keep puffing up into the kidneys. In Chinese medicine, the kidneys are bright turquoise. You can imagine just under that back rib, about the size of your fist, with your thumb in the center, these turquoise jewels that connect us to gentleness, trust. And the adrenals live on the kidneys, right on it. You know, they're like my teacher talks about them as like little party hats. But the idea is that, you know, we want the adrenals to calm down. The adrenals activate that fight, flight, freeze. And so that's the opposite of what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to thaw. Softening into the kidneys, into the hips, breathing, feeling whatever needs to come up. This is a safe space, hopefully a safe space for you to feel what you need to feel. And this weekend, great for baths, great for journaling, for dancing, for massage, for dreaming, for meditation practices, yoga nidra, the little practice we did in the beginning, the 61-point body scan. You can find a ton of those on YouTube, anywhere from like 6 minutes to 30 minutes. Take another big breath. Sigh it out. And so you can stay in pigeon, or we're going to actually transition into half cow face, which you can also do if you're on the back. You can slide the legs, and I'll show you in a moment. But if you are in single-legged pigeon, we would walk up, shifting the weight into the right hip. We slide left leg around, and then we use that little bit of momentum to stack the knees. So we're trying to stack the knees. You kind of have to shift your hips around a little bit so your hips are settled. And the knees may not be perfectly stacked, like my left hip is tighter. And so if you're on the back, you can actually just stay on that right side. So you'd have the right leg up and over, and then now you just stack the knees, and then you can hug behind the thighs or reach for the shins. So you would still feel different. And then the same thing, if you were able to do single-legged pigeon, but now this isn't appropriate for your hips or knees, you can just roll onto the back and do this configuration on the back. And in the full pose, we add the shoulder opener, but if you have that practice, you can add it. But for today, I'm just going to suggest kind of being in the hips. And you can always twist, right? So we talked about twisting towards the leg that's up. The twists are nice in the hip openers if you have the stability, because again, it just helps with that dissolution, but not a requirement. And if you're on your back, don't worry about that. Just breathe. And you can roll forward. For some people, it can be helpful to put a block between The knees are underneath the bottom leg. That can kind of hug them in, but you just got to listen to your body. Or use blocks under your hands. So it's usually only in our water sign classes that will like double up on the hip openers in this way. And you can always go back to pigeon or sleeping pigeon, or just again, down dog, child's pose. If you're on the back, hug the knees in. Otherwise, let's just spend a little more time in this space. And so if you're on your back, you can think about the kidneys settling closer to the earth. So again, the kidneys are able to relax and settle back towards the earth. If you're upright, again, we want that fullness in the back body here. And breathing into the hips, the water chakra, fertility, creativity, intimacy. And so the Pisces new moon, the way it's connecting, or in astrology we say conjuncting with Venus, which is love and relationships and beauty and worth, Neptune, which is the great dreamer, also with the sun and the moon. It's very much about being in that unconditional space. It can be very romantic. It can be very nostalgic. Just being really gentle with yourself and others, and noticing the ways that you are sensitive, the ways that you want to connect, and just be tender with yourself and others. Take another big, big breath in, sigh it out. So if you're on your back, you can stay on your back and just hug the knees in. If you are up in cow face, you'll lean back, uncross the legs, and then cross at the ankles, shift forward, and slide yourself back to downward dog, or make your way back to down dog or child's pose in a way that is appropriate. So just taking a moment to release. And then we'll come into that side too. So again, you can be on your back for sleeping pigeon. If you're in down dog, you might extend the left leg, bend the knee, stack the hip, and then slide it forward. And this side could be tighter. So just be conscious of the right knee, the left hip. You might need to come onto your back for this one. And if you can, like I said, take a couple moments to rock and breathe to fill up the kidney area. And you can all add the quad stretch. Again, opening up the big muscles here. When you're ready, you can walk forward. And if you want to play with twisting in this pose, it would be left arm forward, right arm under. So no worries, we're here for a little while. Soft jaw, soft face. It's been such a perfect Pisces week here too, with all the rain, and yesterday we had the thunder and lightning, and it's just wow. But sometimes it's really very affirming, right? When it feels like nature's I got you. I feel the same way, right? And that's, like I said, a lot of what the natural cycles and astrological cycles bring me is this sense of solidarity. Right? I'm not alone. I'm not just, for lack of better language, speaking of language that used to be sort of dominant, I would always just kind of feel like I was crazy, right? And a lot of people relate to that. And that's not how I, relate to myself and others anymore in that way. But again, that's a common feeling, we're the only one, we're the only one feeling all these things we can't explain, we can't explore. And just simply finding out about the moon phases was wow, that totally makes sense. And so honor yourself for showing up to practice, for tuning in. It's really easy to get caught up in just the business as usual and not to get to check in. And check in with ourselves, nonetheless, the moon and the stars, right? like our ancestors, you know, they were at the mercy of the elements, and so they had to pay attention. And for us, we're not, for the most part. Of course, sometimes we absolutely are, and those are good reminders, but we get to kind of choose the relationship, and that to me is the essence of yoga, right? That choosing where to focus on, and then again, the relationship. So again, if you would like to explore coming into cow face pose, either seated or on the back, take these next few breaths, take a good couple of exhales. If you're in single pigeon, you come up. Again, we bring the weight to the left thigh, slide the right leg around, and then work towards stacking the knees. And I usually have to kind of push into my feet to lift my hips and then try to bring my sit bones down. If you're on your back, you can just, the left leg would be on top, just slide and stack the knees there. And anything you need between the heels, or if you want to play with a block, you can stay upright, you can fold, you can twist towards the top leg. This last minute here. We kind of started with a long relaxation, so I knew we'd kind of not have as much time at the end, but you're always welcome to leave the Zoom, to leave the practice and take a nice long Shavasana, or you can always join me at 6:30 for the restorative class and have a really long Shavasana. Just a few more breaths here and now. And that's the Pisces wisdom. Pisces is the oldest sign, so it sees the cycle come and go, ebb and flow, and so it like all knows it comes back to one, right? Like it just, time is a construct. You know, we agreed upon the 24-hour day. We've agreed upon, you know, we have daylight savings this weekend, which always, like, I'm like, we just, you know, we're gonna just change the time. You know, it's such a construct. So many of the things we cling to in this society are literally like made up, right? Like a lot of the systems and money and all of this. But anyway, I won't get into that. That's not Pisces. Take another big breath. Let it go. And then if you're up seated, lean back, extend the legs, and maybe bring the soles of the feet together. If you're on your back, you can come into happy baby, or you can rock up to bound angle. Let's just do something symmetrical. And you can fold forward, you can circle, rock, and maybe just feel in. Maybe the body wants another twist. And if you're in bound angle, you can gently twist right and left. If you're on your back, you can roll the knees right and left. Just over these next few breaths, just feel, is there anything else your body needs to find a quality of surrender? Anything that's still kind of kinked up? How if you're ever like watering your yard and like if the hose has a little kink, like the water can't flow. That's like this cycle right now too. We're like aware of where those kinks are and we're trying to like unwind them so we can get that flow. So just check in with your body, and when you're ready, you can roll it up and you can roll onto the back and take a couple moments on Shavasana. You can roll the legs up the wall. Again, if you need to leave so you can have some time, again, you're always welcome to do that. Otherwise, we'll just spend a few minutes in surrender. As much support as you need. And let yourself let go. Maybe imagining that you are either floating along that river or that you are the river. You are the current, the parts of you that are tight and tender, beginning to thaw and defrost as the days lengthen, as the light increases, and just letting anything melt away and move through you that no longer serves. And even though we have our own individual process, we have our own individual streams and mountains, we are all flowing towards the same sea. Knowing that we can be in this surrender and still be moving forward. And there's a quote I've been using all week. It's one of my most favorites, and I'm sure I've said it in this class several times, but it's Naira Waheed, one of my favorite poets. Her book Salt, I highly recommend. It's one of her older ones, but it's wonderful. And she says, "You do not have to be a fire for every mountain blocking your path. You could be a water and soft river your way to freedom too. You could be a water and soft river your way to freedom too." And so in this moment, can you be a water and soft river your way to freedom too? Continue to rest or begin to feel the breath flow through the currents of the body, along that channel, through the center of the body, out through the hands and the soles of your feet. Maybe movements intuitively begin. Maybe you simply roll back into fetal pose on the left side, lunar side. Let yourself be effortlessly carried eventually to a seat. Maybe a hand finds heart and belly, that gentle rock that soothes the nervous system. And this practice closes with the offering of the sound of Om 3 times. The first Om for yourself, filling your own cup first. The second Om we send out, we dedicate out to those in need. And the third Om we offer in gratitude to our Mama Earth and our Grandmother Moon. You can listen, you can hum, or take a deep breath in. Slowly inhale, hands to prayer, rub your palms, accessing the life force. Exhale, reach the left palm out to the left, right arm out to the right, right palm down as though we are extending through our screens into our virtual circle. Take a big breath in and exhale, hands to the earth, and we bow. I bow to you, new moon blessings. The moon in me honors the moon in you, and I hope to see you soon.